Hello, my name is Logan Disbrow. I'm a freshman at Granby University, and today I am joined by my father, Stephen Disbrow.
Hello.
Yes. I know that you are the owner and co-founder of Improv Chattanooga, but for those watching and listening right now, what exactly is Improv Chattanooga, and what is the company's mission?
Improv Chattanooga is an improv troupe and off and on theater. We've had a couple physical spaces over the years. With the pandemic, we haven't had a physical space for a while, but we do improv. Like Whose Line Is It Anyway is probably the most familiar thing to the viewers. Short form and long form improv, and our mission is to make Chattanooga an improv destination for improvisers around the world, and also to introduce improv to people and help them build life skills through improv and the teaching and practice thereof.
So, as you said, you have not had a physical space in a long time due to COVID.
Right.
So when the news of COVID and quarantine came to your ears as well as the rest of the troupe, what was the initial worry?
I had just shaken hands with our former Senator Bob Corker. I was looking at getting a space, and so I thought, that fella's giving me COVID. That turned out not to be the case, fortunately. But the first thought was, how do I keep my actors safe? How do I keep myself safe? How do I keep my mother? Your grandmother lives with us, so how do we keep her safe? So we stopped doing shows. And along with the rest of the world, the rest of the improv world, we moved online. We've been doing online improv shows since, I guess, April of 2020. And that's been great. That's been absolutely fantastic. We've met people from all over the world, and actually it helped us accomplish our mission of making Improv Chattanooga a destination. Because now I've got improvisers from Singapore, the UK, the West Coast, we're all going to get together. And do some stuff here and there and everywhere. So it's been, for all the trouble, it's been kind of a blast from that angle.
So was going online the original plan, or was there a plan in place if something like this had happened?
No. There was no plan for a pandemic. There was nothing like that. We had been we had the last space that we had. Was in downtown Chattanooga in an area they call the South Side, because it's on the south side of the city. And that space was not working out for us. So we closed that at the end of 2019. And we were looking I was looking for a new space, and I had found a really nice space. Was getting the beer license lined up and all that stuff. And then the pandemic hit and all gone. So the online improv experience sort of evolved. Everybody around the world just sort of went online at the same time. And I just happened to be fairly well positioned to take advantage of that because I work from home in my regular job as a computer programmer. And I had time and some equipment because we would shoot videos and stuff for the troupe to promote shows and things like that. So I had most of that stuff ready to go, and it was just a matter of learning the tools, learning Zoom, learning OBS, and things like that.
Improv, as you've said, has evolved in the era of COVID. Yeah. Are you worried that it has not just evolved in a good way, but maybe in a bad way because of isolation and social quarantine? Do you think that socialization, like that idea, will be forced out of society?
That's interesting. I was just reading, before we sat down, I was just reading a post online. There's a lot of improv groups on Facebook, as you might imagine. And I was reading a post there from a friend of mine in North Carolina, and she was saying that she's very anxious. She doesn't want to go back to the real world, as it were, because she's afraid, not everybody's going to get vaccinated, not everybody's going to be safe, all this other stuff. And that's a very good question. A lot of us have dreamt so long of being back on a stage that now that it's here, now that it's getting close, I've had my first vaccination. What does that mean? Do you just let anybody come into the theater? Do you say, show me your vaccine card? Do you force people to wear masks? At what point do you stop forcing people to wear masks? How long does this have to go? At what point do we say, yes, there's enough herd immunity here that I feel safe having my actors and my bartenders and my wait staff and all those other people mingle with just, everyday folks the way things used to be. I honestly don't know if I've answered your question, but I think the answer is I don't know. Here where we are in North Georgia, people are very skeptical of masks and vaccines and things like that, so it's going to be an extra challenge for us here as well. So it's going to be different. It can't be the same.
So, as you said, you all are now completely virtual. So, has going virtual affected you mentally and your troupe members mentally? Has social distancing caused dysfunction within the troupe as they perform?
That's an interesting question. Me personally, I've always been a recluse. I don't like going out and doing things. I think you might be aware of that. I've never been a big outdoors guy. So for me, the lockdown was like, oh, this is nice. There's no longer the social pressure to go out and do stuff. And since we had just closed the theater and we're looking for a new space, there was no more of that Friday and Saturday grind of putting on shows and all that other stuff. So for me, it's been great. That's kind of the main reason I'm not really looking forward to the end of lockdown, is because I kind of enjoy this. But for the other members of the troupe, there are quite a few people that are hurting. There are quite a few people that didn't make the leap to online improv. We've got some really, really good players, not just in our troupe, but all over the world, that have a great deal of disdain for virtual performances and online performing. And it's not real improv, it's not real theater, it's not, whatever their excuse is. And so we've had a lot of people that just haven't performed with us. And we've had other people that perform a little bit, or a week here, or 2 weeks there, off and on, as they go back and forth and try to figure out, where their mental limit is for this stuff. Because it's very interesting. When we were open, we would do 4 shows a week. We'd do 2 shows on Friday and 2 shows on Saturday, and it was fine. It was fun. This, you do an hour and you're exhausted. It makes no sense, because you're either standing there or you're sitting there, and you get an hour into this and you're like, oh my God, is this over yet? Please let this be over, because I can't take, I just physically am drained. And it's gotten better as time has gone on. And I think the main reason for that drain is when you're in a space with a live audience, you're able to send energy out and they send it back. But now you have to come up with a completely new way to push energy through this little camera and send that to, and it really feels like you're only sending it to the other performers, because they're the only ones you can hear laugh, because they're on the Zoom call with you.
Speaking of your actors once again, and also pushing energy to the audience, how have previous and current patrons of Improv Chattanooga, how are they interacting with you all through the virtual world, and are they enjoying the virtual sessions?
Well, one thing about improv is that 10 people in the room is a great crowd. It's a sad fact of improv life that you can open a theater with 150 seats and you're thrilled if 30 of them are filled. Just thrilled. So the crowd, a lot of the people that we had coming to every show, or at least one show a week, have followed us online. And we've also picked up fans from around the world. I mean, we've got people in the UK that watch us, even though it's like 1 a.m. their time when our shows are on. That's very flattering. We've got people that we play with from all over the world. They bring crowds, virtually. And but our particular crowds, Yeah, they still keep up with us. They show up in live streams from time to time. And the way you interact is chats. You put up you say, okay, we need a word, and then they type in a word, and then you take the 5 or 10 that you get, and you pick one, and you do your bit. So it's like any other audience. It's evolving, and but there are still a few people that have stuck with us. So that's been very nice.
So as you were saying before, this sort of moving around and driving energy to the crowd, the viewers, that's very hard to do on Zoom, of course. And so, as you said before, you are a full-time computer programmer, and I know that you've told me a little bit about this. You've been working on a Zoom alternative made exclusively for theater and improv. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah,
it's called Improv Stage, and it's not available yet. But what it is it's a website that people can log into. It uses your camera, it uses your microphone, and you can actually move your avatar. Your video stream becomes an avatar, and you can move around the stage. The stage is broken into a grid of three rows and 10 columns, and you can run around the stage. It's really neat. So I've been working on that as just sort of like a hobby, part-time. It's got a long way to go, but it's a lot of fun. And once you use it, it's very difficult to go back to Zoom, because it's also got things built in like bells and lights out and all sorts of stuff like timers and countdowns and things. So, yeah.
So when you do finish the program, are you hopeful that it will branch out and become a widely used, app or feature with other theaters?
No, that'd be nice. The way I'm setting it up, my goal is to have it where a theater can come in and set up an account and say, okay, we want. Hopefully, I can make money off of it. But so like a theater can come in and say, okay, we want a green room, we want a small practice space, and we want a main stage. And they set up those three rooms. And then they can send out invites to their players and their audiences and things like that to come into those different rooms. And, so the actors for a show would come in, they'd land in the green room, and then they transfer to the stage. That sort of thing. I'm trying to make it as that's not right. I'm trying to make it as close to a virtual theatrical experience as possible from the actor's point of view. Hopefully it'll be used in the wider world eventually. Although it's entirely everybody that's doing online improv right now, which is to say everybody that's doing improv, unless you're in New Zealand where they didn't screw this up. Everybody wants to keep doing online improv because we've all made friends. We've all made these relationships that we've got. We've all got these alliances now. Alliances is not the right word. These relationships. We've all got relationships with people all over the world. And I'm just worried that I know how hard it is to run a theater. I'm just worried that what's going to happen is once we get back into the real world, these virtual things are going to fade away a little bit. And, I might, my friend David Postansky in England, I might only really ever see him when I go to England. I worry about that because I know how much time and effort it takes to run a physical theater, and then you get tangled up in the emotional drama of dealing with people face to face and that sort of thing. So hopefully I'll be able to keep it around and it'll be worthwhile in that respect. But even if online improv goes away completely, it's something that's kept me from going crazy for the last 4 months. So
during this quarantine, with everyone being on their own and socially isolated, it seems like everyone is in their own little echo chamber, and opinions have become very heated, and these huge majorities of people have come out of the woodwork, and a new phrase, a new, thing has been created since the start of this quarantine, known as cancel culture. I'm sure you've heard of this.
Yeah.
Cancel culture will have a drastic effect on the world of entertainment and comedy, and we've seen this in a few cases with some actors, and while cancel culture can be used for good, and it should be, there are also cases where people outright are wrong in what they do. And so as an actor, like improv actor and stand-up comedian for the greater of 20 years, I'm wondering if you have seen this, and has it affected you and your troupe? Have you had to change your comedy in order to confine to these new standards?
First of all, I don't like the term cancel. I prefer consequence culture. Because like you do something bad, you should face consequences. Freedom of speech is not freedom from consequence. Let's not conflate those. Let's not get that confused. Consequence has always been there. It's just now it moves at the speed of light because, I've dug up this video that this person did and let's put that up and then everybody can see it, no context. And even if sometimes things move too fast and things happen that shouldn't happen and people get canceled for reasons they shouldn't. But typically, if you've got a guy, say, in your troupe that's harassing the women in the troupe, well, he's got to go. That person has to go. The improv is must be a safe space. When you're on stage, you're very vulnerable. You're playing a character, but every character is based on you. It's based on your experiences. It's based on the things that you feel. So if you've got somebody in your troupe or in your artistic endeavor or in your classroom that is abusing that privilege of being there and abusing the trust of the people around them, then they got to go. We had a guy that was stalking several of the women in one of the classes, including my ex girlfriend at the time, and so he's gone. Personally, yes, I've changed my approach to comedy. I've changed my approach to getting laughs. I look at it like when we teach a class, we tell people don't work dirty. Don't be blue. Don't work blue. Because working clean is a lot harder, but it's a lot more satisfying. You get better laughs and you can go on, the Tonight Show. So I look at it that way. Okay, so if there are, you don't know who's in your audience. You don't know, or there could be transgender audience members, there could be gay, lesbian, bisexual, aces. I don't know if that's the proper term, and I apologize if it's not. But you don't know who's in there, but you don't have to fall back on those stereotypes. You don't have to fall back on what they call punching down, right? I mean, look at me. I'm a middle-aged white guy, 40 pounds overweight, talking about comedy and what's funny. I've got more privilege than anybody I know. And except for the other 40, middle-aged white guys that I know. Being kind doesn't cost anything. And that's something that I've had to learn the hard way over the years. I've not always been kind. A lot of my humor was Don Rickles-esque. And I'm a better person for it. The comedy that I do is better for it. I can point to pretty much any show. Go to the Improv Chattanooga YouTube channel. I can point to pretty much any show on there and say, you can watch that. There's occasionally there's an F-bomb or something, but there's nothing that's going to really offend anybody, I don't think. There's some dark stuff, but nothing that's going to offend anybody because of who they are or how they identify as a human. So I am honestly all for consequence culture. Again, not a big fan of the cancel culture thing. But you're not being canceled. You're acting like a jerk and people are calling you out for it. So that's freedom of speech. It's got consequences. It's got, with great power comes great responsibility. You knew I'd get there. Speech is very powerful, and you have to be very careful with how you use it, or else you end up with, an insurrection.